Gemma, hey, congratulations on your new short film, Conveyance.
Thank you so much. Yes, we're thrilled. It's delighted that it's getting out there and getting into cinemas and being seen. I think we shot it last year quite early, so it feels like we've been holding on to it for such a long time. So it's great. It was in LA this week. It's lovely to share it with an international audience now as well.
And I understand it's also being shown in your own backyard at the Glasgow Film Festival. Can you tell us about how proud you that is being showcased there?
Oh, we were delighted. So Glasgow and Ireland, like the Scots and the Irish were very culturally aligned in terms of humor and things like that. So we'd really yeah, we've a lot in common. So it's we'd have such close ties. Like I've loads of family over in Glasgow and everything. So it was and it's a short flight, and a cheap flight. So it's great. It's great to have that as the premiere. But the festival is incredible. So that was my first time attending. It's a features only festival. So we were one of only seven shorts at the entire festival and we were the only non-UK short. We were in under the Fright Fest strand, so it was a sold out audience of over 500, which is very nerve-wracking to go in. That was definitely our biggest one so far. But it's fun watching it with an actual audience rather than an audience of filmmakers and kind of industry people. Like it's like it is more nerve-wracking because they're watching it like to assess if they like it and not just I don't know, like sussing out the competition or anything like that, or and in that way, that's they're going to be nice to you and chuckle along. That like it's kind of more tense to watch it in a space like that. But the feedback was great. There was a great reaction. I mean, it was the lineup was just spectacular. Like there was such an array of voices of films. We were in really, really good company, and like that, you kind of went on this journey. It was lovely. You'd be laughing one minute and terrified another minute, and completely absorbed by like a well realized world another minute. So it was really wonderful. We were in great company anyway. Glasgow.
You know, one of seven, that's quite impressive. That's for sure. So for us, we always have to ask that obligatory question, where the original idea came from for Conveyance.
So okay, so that this it's about a couple that move into a haunted house, and they we have a massive housing crisis over here, which I'm sure you guys do in California as well in certain places. So yeah, they move into a house, they get their dream house after years of searching, and they end up stuck there. So the idea of it came from a my friend, my husband's friend got this just stunning apartment, and I just went, oh my God, I'd love to film there. So it just so happens to coincide with like a funding scheme that is specifically for that area, and it's such a specific area. It's like a suburb of Dublin. They have their own funding scheme. It's where our film school is. So I thought, oh, that's a perfect scheme to apply for that. So all the stars aligned, and we got the funding scheme. We got the support of the National Film School. We got to use their brilliant equipment. We got their support. They helped script edit, and like that we it was funded under DLR First Frames, and we also got support from Culture Ireland to get to go to Glasgow. So that was really so we were well supported, and yeah, it was really exciting to get to film it then. And then also there's a little arc of the couple in there as well. That was very much so like a completely fictionalized and heightened version of when myself and my husband moved in together for the very first time. Even though we were dating years and years and years, there was a little bit of a communication issue. So it's sort of that dramatized by a thousand, really.
Now, the centerpiece of a conveyance is not just the couple, but the apartment itself. So, because to find that perfect apartment to tell that story would it's basically a production set that you as an independent filmmaker must seek out. So, tell us about this apartment and how you want to basically portray it on screen for yourself.
Well, we were really delighted by that. So again, like the script was written for the apartment. The apartment was the first thing that we had. And then the story arose, and then the ghost arose, and then the couple arose. All that stuff kind of came out of the fact that we had that apartment, but it's a really incredible apartment. So if you see like it's a very light colored with cream or whitish carpets. Everything is, and it's in like South County Dublin in this really fancy, expensive part of town as well. So everyone is like, why are you filming here? Like, why? There's like people looking at you going, what is this? Why is there like load of kind of rough and ready cars parking up outside, bringing in like all these strange boxes. Like you did get a couple of questions, and like that when we were kind of in Dunleary, like Dunleary is different because we're funding the funding scheme is for the local county council there. So we kind of did get to say, oh, this is supported by Dunleary County Council, which was great. But yeah, in the apartment, I think people were like, what is this? Because it's quite quiet. It's a real little quiet cul-de-sac, but it's beautiful. Like, I mean, that place now would cost a pretty penny. I'm not allowed to say how much it is, but it costs a lot.
And now you said it was in Dublin, but was it actually on the seaside as indicated in the film, or was that just basically kind of for show, just for storytelling purposes?
Oh yeah, we had such a big budget. We had someone paint a fake backdrop. No, no, it is. It's that where the apartment is. It's not necessarily by the seaside. We did film two shots by the seaside, but that actually is up a big mount, like a big hill. I suppose you can't really call it a mountain. It's for us, it would be a big hill. So it's up a kind of height, so we can see the sea. But it's a long stroll. You wouldn't be kind of really that's the cheating of film world. So yeah, we did get to go down and get some lovely shots by the sea. Although the wave, it is a very that is a terrible stock image of a wave that we kind of got last minute to get that kind of eerie violence of the sea. It's a very boring sea. If you're ever down there, it's like gentle lapping. There's nothing exciting or splashing about it most of the time.
In any type of storytelling, particularly with a short film like this, the cast has to be perfect because they're the ones that are going to tell the story. Tell us about the cast that you recruited for this film.
Yeah, we were very lucky with the short film. So we have a long running soap in Ireland called Fair City, and that would be like, the days of our lives in Ireland. So it's like it's our main soap. I think it's our only soap at the moment as well, and it's ran for like generations pretty much. And we've two actors from that. One was our producer Maeve, and she's our spooky witch Marion, and the other is Janet, so Suzanne's mum. So they're two people from that soap. Like Suzanne's mum, Janet, she's Aisling O'Neill, and she's kind of a household name. Like if you're in a place, they'd recognize her straight away. In fact, when I showed it to my family, they were the one person they were like, she said it. Wow. So Patrick Martins is our star. He's a just such a phenomenal actor. We were so lucky to get him. I think he's presently treading the boards in Abbey, which is our national theatre. He was over in London on either off on the West End or just off the West End. I'm not too au fait with that. And he has just been in Chris O'Dowd's new series on Sky. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I think he was auditioning for that as we were shooting, which is really exciting. Chrissy Cronin, she's a really talented actor. Just after she shot her film, Swingbout, she played the villain in it, and that got a national release in Dublin. Travis Nelson is in The Recruit and Amazon. He's in it for a really short time, but that's a like he was just over here because of the actor strike, and he knows the guy that owns the apartment. So just met up with him for a coffee, like before we were casting it and everything, and he's like, yeah, I'll be in it. So like he's kind of weirdly enormous. He's like the love interest in the lake. I watched it then afterwards, and he's brilliant in it. And now he's over here as well. So he's in a Bloomhouse
And
horror.
Boomers,
That's
yeah.
yeah. And then Matty McCabe is in he plays opposite Lindsay Lohan in Irish Wish. So that real like I mean we were making fun of it to no end, but I mean a good Hallmark movie serves its purpose and it's really enjoyable. Like people will go, "Oh, it's terrible. It's such paddy whackery," but did you enjoy it? Absolutely, do you know? So he was the love interest's brother and he had a big role in that. So he kind of that was his next thing after us. I think he kept that quiet as well. I saw him on Instagram. I was like, what? So yeah, we had an unusually accomplished cast.
Wow, you assembled quite a team, and particularly for a film like this, where because of the fact that it's an independent budget film, I want to say, the haunted apartment has limited effects. We're not splashy on VFX or special effects, and you're limited. So you rely upon your actors to present the facial reactions and other type of reactions to the moving objects or things that are actually happening around you. Can you talk about directing it like that in that way?
So that was really exciting. And yeah, our special effects were like boxes on strings, like someone shaking a little table. And I did poor Patrick. Oh, he was drowned in that bath. And there was a continuity error, so we couldn't cut like with bubbles, so we couldn't cut it together. So we had to kind of do a workaround. So he was drowned and his eyes were wrecked with foam and bubbles and stuff like that. Because it's a sort of play on the sensuous bath. Because it's
Mhm.
always women who are bathing and, like get attacked while bathing. It's like such a male gaze thing. So we kind of reversed it to play with the expectation. And the point was like he was supposed to be really awkward, like tech nerd, but actually like Patrick is too handsome. So it just became reversed, it just became the female gaze. When we were watching him, which wasn't the point. It was supposed to be like a kind of piss take of that. But yeah, and then one of our other effects was just a was Patrick's strong core as he was leaning on a box and a stick. That was our levitation scene. But that was so funny. Their performances in that moment was brilliant. And it was a very difficult thing to shoot because our power went. So we were lighting, it was during the day, we were filming another scene and the power went. Like it was really a case of everything that did go wrong could go wrong. So at the very last minute, we set up that scene, started to shoot it. And that was like one of the first things that they shot in a very kind of rushed way. So they brought that with real energy and authenticity because it was sort of for most people on set, it was a 4 day shoot. And then myself and the DOP did a little bit of extra work around the scenes here or there to get bits and bobs. Like we did the Love Island scenes and stuff in my mum's garden. That was just like an improv thing afterwards that we set up with two really talented comedian actors as well to record. But yeah, no, most of the effects are like they're pretty old school.
You know what? We just love these type of practical effects. So one of the things is that this short film is a comedy horror, and but for some people, to balance comedy and horror is a difficult thing. How did you manage to accomplish that?
I think the is to give everybody their authenticity. And even though the situation is ridiculous and on the page it read sort of ridiculous, is on the day to give people their motivation so that it's authentic. So, I mean, we do one or two comedian-esque beats, but for the most part, everything is played straight and it is to lend into that fear. Like, one of the most important things for me specifically were the performances and the sound, because I think sound is one of the most important elements of horror. So we really, really, really took our time to build that, to build the layers of audio because it just creates such a tension because, we don't have a huge effects budget, but the brain is better than a million graphics cards in terms of what I can imagine and what you can elicit. So that's what we tried to do. I mean, I am a really big fan of horror, and I think I do try, like, this is quite sweet. It would be a little bit more upbeat than the stuff that maybe I do outside of that, but I do try and find like a genuine darkness. Like, there is a threat there. Like there's a sort of existential threat for both of our stars, and I do want that fear of that unknown where they've gone from a situation where they're now in a relationship and they don't actually really know if they want to, or if they're suitable for one another, even though they do love one another quite deeply, that they don't know if they're suitable. They can't communicate, but like that, like they've spent, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If your base security level isn't met, you're not able to move forward or evolve. So they're really stuck, like really stuck where they are. So I think it was important to get that beat. That's why we were so lucky to get Aisling O'Neill, because she, like, the mum on the page is intense. And I was like, I know it's ridiculous. Like, it is a comedy beat where, she's misaging her daughter, but authentically, like, she's someone who's very concerned because her daughter made some life choices that she didn't particularly agree with. And now she's really struggling and she's worried for her daughter. And it was to see that authenticity of that role, even though it is that it's funny and she's saying things that are objectively funny. So I think that's what I tried to stress at all points, that these are real people and that this is a real like weight on them.
Mhm. Absolutely. And as an independent budgeted film, if you did actually have more money, an increased budget, would you done anything differently?
Yeah, I would have gotten a little bit of VFX. There's things that bug me, and actually watching it in Glasgow because the screen was so good, I saw there's one or two technical things you're like, ah. But I mean, in terms of what we got for what we had, like our budget was 13. There was a little bit more than that. But we were really lucky. There's a really good post-production house that gave us a grade called First Element that are an incredible one that do work internationally, that do work for broadcast, that do professional work, and they gifted us a grade because they knew we didn't have any money to get a grade. And if you see it, like the cinematography is beautiful, like the depth of field, what Yarrow can do. She had two features under her belt when she shot this. So in terms of, I do think in terms of who we worked with, we were very, very lucky. It was an independent thing, but I think a lot of people were really big fans of the genre who worked on it. So they did a lot more than what they should have. Like our editor, Phil Shanahan, as we were putting together we were kind of like fine tuning our rough cut that was like nearly 20 minutes long. And we were finding these beats, like we're editing under a wall of horror films. And in
Hmm.
terms of like getting that look and I think, yeah, so I think it was that everyone is such a fan of, like, genuinely a fan of the genre that they put more into it. Like, because they didn't, like, the pay was not huge on this at all. But yeah, but it was like, it was so exciting when it came together. And I think it was just the caliber of people together. We were very, very lucky to get. Because again, like, at the moment, there's a lot of productions happening in Ireland. You're competing against, like, Wednesday. That's,
Yeah. I was going to bring up Ireland here because not only that's in your backyard, that the film industry in Ireland has changed so much, and I want to say you've been using a local crew, especially for something like this. Is that because the industry has been changing so much, and now there's easier accessibility and more resources to work with in Ireland?
yeah, I mean, our industry is supported by Screen Ireland, who do a brilliant work. We have a number of organizations funded underneath that or adjacent to it. Then there's the sector, like our post-production sector, is kind of at a high level because we would work on a lot of international productions because Ireland as an industry is generally a little bit cheaper to produce work in. We have great tax credits in terms of Section 481. If something is maybe of our, like, again, because we're in Europe and we're the only English speaking country in Europe, there's a lot of co-productions. We do a lot of co-productions with Canada as well. So there'd be a lot of yeah, like so I think we're kind of in a position, and unlike that, it's very competitive in up the north as well, in the north of Ireland, that we do attract sort of good productions. So our crew are quite well trained. And like that, you might get somebody who's working on, yeah, like, or the equivalent of Game of Thrones or Foundation or something like that. And then their off day, like they might come and shoot a short film because they really want to, get their hands mucked in. So I think in terms of like that duality of the really, really big productions, because for years Ireland didn't really have a film industry, like in the 80s and things like that. There was no money, there was no government money, there was no
Mm.
supports. And now if you look at films like Kneecap or On Colleen Kuhn, that the supports, the Irish production companies are being supported. They're developing really amazing work. Look at the work that Element is producing, that it speaks to people on a world that's picking up Oscars left, right, and center. I think it is that a lot of work went into cultivating talent, and now it's sort of reaping the rewards. And I think as well, like a lot more went into it during COVID to develop it. And it was almost like 3 years later, the life cycle of a film, you can see Irish creatives, Irish films being abroad like that making waves, or that they may face the rising sun was another one that just did exceptionally well internationally, and that really was a very definitive voice but very local, but again appealed to people internationally on such a high plane. So I think like it's really exciting because my other my other job is that I'm a film journalist, so it's really exciting getting to watch it all, and to watch it grow, because even things like 15, 20 years ago, like I when I graduated from college in and around that time, there wasn't that much there wasn't that scope. There wasn't that scope internationally. There wasn't even the amount of films being produced regionally happening. Like we went from, like maybe a few films, a couple a year to having a big list. And even in terms of animation. So we'd work on like we have amazing animation houses. And again, the VFX houses are working on some really exciting projects and familiar names. I think the post was like there's just loads of stuff. Like I'm not even going to try and list it because I'll miss out on so many. My Little Pony film that was done here. Like a lot of stuff
Wow.
was done on here. Yeah.
You sure know the industry over there. But what is your personal love of making, independent short films yourself?
So it's so exciting to I think I would have come from it from the perspective of a writer who would have liked to have written. But then you don't always get your work across the line, or you have to have a director attached. So I did always think I wanted to direct, and when I started off much younger, I did direct a few things, and I was like, oh, it's not for me. But then I went into the area of like project management, and it's actually quite similar. So then when I got the opportunity to direct Conveyance, I wasn't afraid or I wasn't nervous. Like it's like a series of small fires that you have to put out and decisions that you have to make on the fly. And I was like, okay, I'm sort of doing that anyway. And that was the problem I had. It wasn't like the creative instinct. But I suppose I'd have a lot more knowledge as well. But again, like it was working alongside people that knew a lot more than me and trusting that they knew they knew like we'd discuss why we wanted something a specific way or what we'd want it to look like, but then knowing that they'd be able to kind of like lean in, make decisions on the fly, like come to us with the big picture things, but then do all the technical elements to make it look fantastic at the end of the day. So that was really exciting. And as a writer, sometimes you hand things away and sometimes they come back 10 times better and then sometimes they come back completely different and almost like a compromise
Hmm.
that the like whoever had them didn't really see your vision, but then just wanted to make it, and that has happened. And it's sort of disappointing. Like that, I had a play that was staged by somebody recently, and I handed it off to like you hand off your writing to a director, and it came back and it was 10 times better. And it was so weird because it was almost like he saw inside my brain and did it. And that's really exciting. But it's not always the case as a writer. So then when you get to make all the decisions because you know that world inside out, it's actually just the most satisfying experience on the whole planet. Like, so I'll never, like, hopefully I'll never go back. I'm attached to some interesting things now, and if we like, it's whatever gets funded next, we'll be working on. So I'm kind of really excited, and I'm working with other writers as well to see and help them realize their world, and that again is sort of a new exciting venture.
Well, that leads us to our last question is what exactly is next for you? Do you have any inkling of desire to do a full-length feature film or you want to stick to this short film arena?
I mean, I would happily leap into a feature film now. I do have one that I'm writing at the moment. I also have a feature film version of Conveyance. It's a little bit darker. It's yeah, a little bit kind of drier. It's where the couple are living together, but they're about to break up. So that is like where they're breaking up and they're stuck in that house and the tension escalates and kind of those frictions. I mean, in the housing crisis here and then in our last boom where a lot of people were trapped in houses with negative equity together, like that happened quite a lot. And it's its own thing and it has a kind of like bigger engine in terms of how you can torment your poor protagonists and what it says about human nature. So that's there. And then I'm also developing a low budget feature. I also have like about two series, but like that would definitely be something you'd write and have to hand away. But kind of it's whatever you get your development money for or whatever is the next, yeah, like whatever is coming up now. Like we're in the pot for a few short films. So like generally there's sort of a way to go and like I mean this has been doing well but it's not like I mean we're not getting an Oscar so maybe hopefully no but we're not getting an Oscar so this is doing well but there's like a kind of natural progression where you do this then you do a specific type of higher budget short film and then you can kind of graduate to a feature film so like that's sort of what I'm angling for now.
Hey, you know what? Being a creative, the best thing is to stay busy. So, Gemma, thank you very much for speaking to us about conveyance. I look forward to talk to you again on either more short films or any other future projects that you have down the road. It is a delightful conversation.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thank
Fingers
you.
crossed for the back. Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye.